Got a minute? This regular city council meeting is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Ed Norris, please call the roll.
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Speech.
Here.
Councilmember Radner.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support. Support. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is the consent agenda. These are routine items that are presented for City Council approval without discussion as a single item. Any council member can ask to have one item removed and considered separately. So the items on the consent agenda are regular council meeting minutes of November 2nd, 2015, Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 12th, 2015, Library Board meeting minutes of September 15th, Communications Commission meeting minutes of September 16th, Arts and Cultural Commission meeting minutes of August 2nd, Communication Commission meeting schedule for calendar year 2016, Arts and Cultural Commission meeting schedule for calendar year 2016. Request to cancel the November 18th Communications Commission meeting in order for members to attend the Master Plan Town Hall meeting. Request to schedule a public hearing for December 7th, 2015 to receive public comments on the allocation of the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Funds. And finally, licenses, new and renewals is submitted for November 16th, 2015. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Oh, I have a
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
point of
question.
discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a discussion point.
Oh, did you want something removed?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, just for clarification, the Communications Commission meeting, cancellation,
Yep.
I wanted that to be pulled out because that actually needs to not be canceled.
Canceled, okay. I think that there was a misunderstanding thinking that it was going to, the times were going to be the same. And actually, the town hall meeting is from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I hope you all will be there. And the commission meeting starts at 7, is that correct?
Correct.
So that they don't need to cancel it, they can actually attend both.
They can attend both, yes.
Okay, so we can pull that. Is there any objection? All right. Any elected officials visiting?
Oh, we still need to vote on the agenda.
Do we have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No elected officials. We do have a special recognition presentation by the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, and members of our public. As all of you know, every month I get an opportunity to honor one of our employees. And it's my honor this month to recognize Leslie Alston in our Department of Technical and Planning. And I wanted to say just a few things about her before I turn it over to our Deputy Director of Technical and Planning, Dave DeCoster. Not only is Leslie one of the most pleasant people ever to work with, she also handles herself in some of the most difficult times and provides, in my opinion, some of the best customer service that employees of this city could ever provide. Truly a model employee, and I'm really honored that you've chosen to stick around with us here in this community. Dave, if you could say a few words, and then Leslie, we bring you up. Photo contest here, so.
Well, thank you, Eric, and good evening, Mayor and Council. In addition to what Eric had mentioned, he hit everything. Leslie is the glue that holds our department together. She's a retired Flint employee. She came to us with a full wealth of knowledge on BSNA and BSNA.net. She's been a true asset through our software transition. She's leading our team, currently with things such as business license applications, online permitting and payments, so she's really taking the charge on that. She really is a model employee. She's loved by all her coworkers. Contractors and residents in Oak Park have come to expect a high level of customer service, and Leslie provides that. Finally, I'd like to say that, Leslie worked in Flint for many years. She lived in the Flint area, and I think it's important to note that after starting work here in Oak Park, she is now an Oak Park resident as well. So on behalf of myself and Director Barrett, who couldn't be here tonight, let's congratulate Leslie Alston on the Employee of the Month.
So, city council members, if you would join me for a photo, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Come, stand under they put you in the middle, under in the spot. Yes. I wanted to make a note about doing something to recognize good customer service. Right. Right. Yep. Okay. I think I got customer service from my dad, who, always said the customer's always right, and when the customer's wrong, the customer's still right. So, accounting reports, 11A, motion to approve payment of an invoice submitted by Garen Luco Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $12,470.95.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns,
Yes.
Mayor McClellan,
Yes.
Councilmember Radner. Yes. Councilmember Rich. Yes. Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 14, City Attorney. 14A, resolution approving a Metro Act permit application submitted by Wide Open West Michigan LLC.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. Before you, under item 14A, is a proposed resolution approving a Metro Act permit application for Wide Open West Michigan. This application was submitted to the city on October 14th, 2015. We had 45 days upon receipt of the application to conduct our due diligence review. We have had a review conducted by the Technical and Planning Department as well as the City Attorney's Office to ensure compliance with the statute. We have all the required insurance documents, and we do believe that the recommendation to approve the permit is warranted at this time.
Wonderful.
If you have any questions, I can address those. Otherwise, I do recommend approval of the permit.
Right. Is there someone from Wide Open West here?
I do not believe they're here this evening.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So we need resolution approving this permit application.
I make a motion.
Yes,
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
wonderful. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion or questions? As I understand it, this is for one business. I know that there's been a lot of interest for residents, inviting Wide Open West to come and be an option, but this is for one business. Can you explain how?
Yes, Wide Open West, it has pulled the permit specifically for one commercial business that's moving into 14925 West 11 Mile Road. This is the new futurist company that was discussed at your last council meeting. But while Wide Open West is specifically requesting permission to install their infrastructure for this specific commercial client, they will have the ability to service other residential customers if they so choose to sign up with this company. So again, this permit is essentially just giving them a license or a permit to use our right-of-way to install their telecommunications facilities along our existing lines.
Okay, then. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Speech.
Well, first, I was excited, because I know. Let me turn my mic on. At first, I was excited because I know that, this provides potential for another option for residents. So that's a good thing. But on the other hand, I also have a question regarding our current relationship with the cable provider, and how that, changes or how that intersects, or can you answer that for me?
Yes, this permit will not have any effect on our contract with the current cable services provider.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
You may not be able to answer this question. I'm just curious. They are here initially for the sole purpose of this one business. So do we know why they hadn't come prior to this?
I do not know why they had not come prior to this, but the city manager, it appears, may have some answer to that.
Madam Mayor, members of council, this, I understand, and I think, you know, as the city attorney mentioned, we discussed this at the last meeting, that we have located a R&D facility with about 75 employees at this address on 11 Mile. One of the concerns, and I hope, Kim, if you'd like to join me, one of the concerns they had was that the telecommunications infrastructure wasn't adequate in order for them to locate and conduct their business. So this was a necessary part of them coming here, bringing all of their employees and bringing their operation here.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner. Yes. Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Motion carries. Welcome Wide Open West to the City of Oak Park. This is now the city manager portion. City Manager Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 15A, this is a city council item, so I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. We need a motion to pass a resolution reaffirming the creation of the Oak Park Arts and Cultural Commission and increasing the number of commissioners. A motion to, I think that before we can table it, I think we have to open it, and then there has to be a request to table it, and I think that's the correct procedure. Is that correct? Yep. So we have to open it, put it on the table, and then there's a request. A motion to postpone, right, not table.
So
Got it.
moved.
So we have a motion, and we have a second? Motion and support. Discussion, Councilmember Speech?
Yes, I'd like, to make a motion that we, postpone the discussion of this and, maybe discuss it in a special council meeting for later, to come on to the, agenda later.
Right. I think this is part of a bigger discussion that we would like to have about our boards and commissions. And now that everything is running so beautifully in the city, we can get down to the fine points and make those things run even better. And I think that having a special council meeting on this subject would be a wise thing to do.
So I just need a support.
So we need support for that motion?
Support.
Good. All those in favor of postponing this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, this motion is postponed for a special council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. 15B is a master plan update, and I'd like to ask our library director and our director of community and economic development, as well as our recreation director, if need be, join us at the podium and give us a brief update on where we are and some of the upcoming events we can look forward to.
Thank you. Wednesday night in the community center from 5 to 7 p.m., we have our town hall meeting where we invite the entire community, business and residents to attend and give us their input on what they'd like to see happen in the city over the next 5 years. Master plans are over a 5-year period. Right now on our online survey, we have about 140 respondents. We'd like to see a whole lot more. So please go to the website and click on the link to take the survey. There's also, if you don't have your own internet service or a computer at home, Brandon at the library has provided a designated computer to do that online. And I have a few hard copies with me, and those can be requested as well.
So maybe after the meeting, if you don't have computer access, stop and get one of those and let your voice be heard about things you'd like to see the library do and the rec center do and the city do in the next 5 years. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we have 2 computers set up at the reference desk, so if anybody wants to take the survey, they can take that there. Anytime they're open, noon to 8 o'clock Monday through Thursday, noon to 6 on Friday, or 1 to 5 on Sundays. They're always up and running, so come in. It's probably about a 5 to 10 minute survey, depending on how much depth of detail you want to put in. But it's very helpful to us because it lets us know what it is that you want from us as far as services and what we can do to better provide service for you.
So there were some things like about the library that were
Yes.
on the survey. I took the survey. And just name a few of them, for example.
Basically, we're talking about some of the services that may be of interest. One of them is Zinio, which we're going to be piloting in December, which is a online magazine format where people could actually check out magazines through their iPad or their tablets and use those to, check out the magazine. Once you check it out through this service, you have it in perpetuity, so you don't have to get rid of it. So if you want to collect all the upcoming issues of a certain magazine, you can do that through this. It also gives us a lot
You
more.
subscribe for free?
It's through the library, so you actually use our subscription to check these out. So it'd be just like checking out the materials, but the best thing with this is it allows more than one person to check out a piece of material at once. So it's a really great piece of technology for us, and fairly cost effective. So, but it's stuff like that, things that we can do better, services that we do well, so it kind of gives us an idea of where we're, hitting the mark. So that's also very helpful to us.
So you'd like to know also what they use the library
Yes.
for the
Yep.
most, and what they'd like to use the library for the most, and
Yep.
maybe what they've seen in other libraries
Yes, definitely.
that they'd like to see here.
Definitely.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I wanted to just, especially because we have 2 new members of our city council, just give you a debrief on how we got to where we are in terms of doing our master plan work in-house. And some time ago, city council authorized us to do this work in-house as opposed to going out and hiring expensive consultants to do it for us. One of the things, and I was supportive of that, and one of the reasons why is that the 3 individuals that just presented are all very experienced in their respective field areas, and I think you can see that they're providing good direction on this process. And how many times have we heard that we need to update our master plan?
Yes.
We're doing that in all areas: library, recreation, economic development, planning, zoning, everything. So we're going to be right up to speed, and I think the envy of a lot of other communities who can't get to this point.
Admirable. Nice. Everyone is very responsive to what you would like to see for your city. Let's see.
15C, I'd like to call Deputy Director DeCoster, if you'd go through that with us, please.
Good evening. In front of you is the approval for the mutual release of purchase agreement and new purchase agreement for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program home at 13211 Dartmouth. Home Renewal Systems, the city's marketing and sales consultant, is reporting that Mr. Hall did not meet all the HUD regulations to purchase an NSP home. Therefore, Home Renewal Systems is further recommending that the mutual release of purchase agreement with Mr. Hall and the approval of the new purchase agreement with Mr. Issa for 13211 Dartmouth Avenue be approved for $82,000. subject to the following. One, final approval of mutual release of purchase agreement and new purchase agreement, and closing documents be approved by the city attorney as to form. Two, final sales agreement, home value meeting, the HUD regulations. And three, home buyers currently meeting and continuing to meet all HUD regulations for purchase of an NSP home.
Okay, so, be approved. So this is to approve this mutual release purchase agreement, and new purchase agreement.
Yes, correct.
So we need a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve it.
Thank
if I
you.
may.
Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Discussion and questions. Just in English, what happened?
Mr. Hall, the current purchaser, you have to go through a very strict qualification process. Through that process, he initially was approved. Continuing on the investigation, there were some things found that eliminated him.
Okay,
So our home renewal systems have a batch of people who are approved, and we can move on to the next.
so we're just moving on to the next person. Got it. Any questions? Councilmember Speech.
Yes, is the 82,000 the same amount that was given to Mr. Hall, or is it a different amount?
Same amount,
Okay. And the individual, I think it's Mr. Issa?
yes,
Is he, has he already been vetted for this?
yes.
To be approved through the whole process?
Unless something comes up from now to closing time, then yes, everything's
Okay.
been approved to this point.
So it could be the possibility of the same? Okay.
Possible, but
I got you.
not foreseeable.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That's wonderful. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes, motion carried.
Director Maroney, if you could join me at the podium for 15D, an update on our tax foreclosed property project.
Good evening. Before I have Global Realty Jim Budziak come up here and do a presentation with some pictures to give you an update on the progress of the homes and the commercial properties, just wanted to point out a few things. In 2014, the city decided not to purchase any of the tax foreclosed properties that we were given the opportunity to do so. At that time, there were 29 properties, and out of 29 properties, only 9 of those pulled any permits. And we still had enforcement issues on some of those properties after the fact. In 2015, the 15 properties that were purchased by Global Realty to date have already invested $480,000 into these buildings and homes. And I will let Jim give you the final update on that with some pictures and other statistics.
Madam Mayor and council members, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and give you an update on our program. Before I get into the slideshow, I'll just kind of give you a brief overview. So as we take title to the properties, we do the exterior cleanup first. So all of the properties.
Can I do just a little thing before you get into the nuts and bolts? Before, if there was a tax foreclosed property, a lot of times some out-of-state company or out-of-the-country company would buy a flock of them and turn them into rentals and not have a lot invested in the city, so they would tend to go downhill. In order to turn around this process of houses getting more dilapidated and more rental properties in the city, we learned about this option that would let, the city would buy the properties and sell them immediately to this company. They signed a contract and they guaranteed us that they would start by fixing the exteriors of the homes. And then they would continue to spend about $30,000 on each house to fix up the interiors of the homes. And then before August of 2016, they would put a homeowner in that property. And we felt that the city benefited because there would be fewer rental properties. The neighbors benefited because the worst house on the block suddenly is the best house on the block. and the company, which is in business to make money, profits, which is what it's in business for. And this is what we're talking about now.
Correct. And just to add to that, so when we take an all-encompassing approach and we're able to purchase all of the properties, it allows us to do a significant renovation to all of the properties, not just a few. What we had saw happening at many communities was the properties that had a lot of value would get purchased and significant renovations, but properties that were in maybe slightly lower value areas, the investors were not putting the dollars into those houses. Or even, like, we have one home that's fire damaged, and we're gonna do a significant renovation on it. I think the renovation on the fire damaged house is gonna be approximately $68,000 to $70,000. So by being able to purchase the entire package and look at it as a project in whole, rather than just buying one or two houses, it gives us some more flexibility to do significant renovations to the homes.
So you're
So,
saving houses for the city.
and,
Could be the house next to you.
and all of the homes are being sold to owner occupants, which I think is worth noting, as well as permits are being pulled, property transfer affidavits are being filled out. Many times we see homes get purchased by investors, they don't fill out the property transfer affidavit. A lot of times it's tough for the cities to police that because it was a tax sale, it's not recorded on the MLS, and they don't record the property transfer affidavit because they don't want the homestead exemption, they don't want the property to become uncapped. And we record a property transfer affidavit, usually within a week after we get the deeds. They've all been recorded on these properties. So, I mean, I'll go through some photos and give you a brief, update on each property, and then, if you have questions on a specific property, feel free to ask. I might need some help.
Technical difficulties, please stand by.
No, I just hit this. I'll hit that, okay. So this is kind of the typical scope of work that we had talked about: new floors, new kitchen cabinets, granite countertops, bathrooms updated, interior and basement painted, exterior renovations, and challenging issues addressed, like
The challenging issues might be the flood damage.
flood. The firehouse had a lot of mold and a lot of fire damage, so there was a lot of remediation that went into that home, and I actually have a picture of it. There's a lot of exterior pictures, and let me just say, the reason there's a lot of exterior pictures is we're just getting into the renovations now. We're probably halfway to 75% through the renovations on many of the homes, but it just wasn't a perfect time to get in and take pictures of the interiors. I walked many of the houses, but there was just contractors everywhere, there was material everywhere. I took as many pictures as I could. We're actually anticipating 6 houses being listed and on the market within the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then another 3 or 4 done by the end of the year. We're gonna have all of the houses that we purchased done and on the market, with the exception of 1 by the end of the year, as well as significant renovations to the commercial properties, and I'll talk about those when I get to the end.
So you're a little ahead of schedule.
We're ahead of schedule, ahead of where we thought we would be, actually. So this is 13670 Talbot. There's a before and after. The renovation budget on this property is projected to be at $40,000. Exterior cleanups done, landscaping completed, interior renovation started. New driveway will be going in shortly. Oak Park Boulevard, exterior cleanup done. New roof and windows has already been installed on this one, and we're in the process of starting the renovation and finalizing the budget, but it's projected to be at $42,000 on Oak Park. That's another before and after the rear.
So it was overgrown bushes and.
Yeah, just hadn't been taken care of in a long time, the exterior. This is 21661 Ridgedale. We're currently working to finalize the bid on this one. Exterior cleanup and the landscaping is done. The projected budget is 40,000 on Ridgedale. That's a before and after of the rear.
Excuse me, Madam
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
Yes, please.
So for the Ridgedale property, you didn't have to do, on this, it's not noted that there was any interior work done. Does that mean you didn't have any to do?
No, we're in the process of finalizing the bid.
Okay.
And we haven't started the interior, and the projected renovation budget on that one is 40,000.
Okay.
So there will be significant renovations done to that home as well.
Okay.
Oops. Did I just tap it? Yeah. Oh. Okay. This is Woodvale. Exterior cleanup completed, landscaping completed, interior renovation started, new driveway currently going in, and new roof and windows will also be installed on this home. The budget is at 50,000. That's a before and after the kitchen. You can see the construction is still underway on the kitchen.
So that's more than you agreed. You said something about $30,000 per home, and this is $50,000. A lot of these are more than what you promised, actually.
I mean, I always say we're not gonna be back next year if we don't do a good job, so. Our goal is to bring property values up as high as we possibly can in the community. And one of the things that we have witnessed in other communities that we've done this in, it doesn't only increase the property values of the properties that we're doing, because what happens is the realtors that are selling homes in the community start to use our properties as the comps. Because when you have a home that sells, let's say the kitchen is 15 years old and it hasn't been updated in a while. The appraisers really can't make huge adjustments for that. So another comparable home that sells that maybe the kitchen's 15 years old, the bathrooms are 15 years old, but the home's in nice shape. They're gonna pull one of our comps for value for that house. So our comps start to pull up the values of the entire community because the realtors start to go to our properties for the comps after they're completed and sold.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
I can't recall, was it actually, 23, 25 homes?
What was the total?
Total homes purchased?
12.
12?
12 homes. And there was actually one vacant lot that we paid the taxes on. I think it was $1,500, $2,000. And then, the neighbor wanted it, so we sold it to the neighbor. But at least it's back on the tax rolls with the neighbor, and so you shouldn't have that problem going forward.
Another question. Of the 12 homes that were purchased, were there any that you came across that were not financially soluble to invest in?
No, we're doing them all.
Okay.
Even the fire damage one, we're probably not gonna make a lot of money on that, but again, that goes back to, we look at the entire package, and we try to save every single home and keep them on the tax rolls.
Do the neighbors kiss you when you come over?
They're typically excited, especially on the houses that are really disheveled on the exterior. They're happy to see somebody finally show up and cut the bushes and put mulch in and plant a couple of shrubs and, cut the trees back off of their house potentially or our house. They're usually pretty excited. That's the living room at Woodvale. That's 23040 Majestic. And that, the exterior's been done, the landscaping's been done, the interior renovation is started. New driveway is going in and a new roof has been installed. And this is one of the ones we hope to have on the market in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And the other thing I'll do is, when we actually have the houses on the market and listed, I will provide a list to the council with lock boxes, and feel free to walk any of the properties that we have after they're listed so that you can, look at them firsthand.
How do people find out about these particular ones that have been renovated by you?
Pardon?
How do they find out about that?
Okay, so what I
I've
can.
got a brother who wants to move into
They'll
Oak
all
Park.
be listed, once they're completed, every house will be listed on the MLS. So if somebody has an agent that they're working with, great. I can also provide a list, to Eric, and he can share that with city employees. We can have once we set the pricing, on the houses, I can get you a list of the upcoming houses, projected list date, what the projected asking price will be. And then if they have an agent that they're working with, that's great. If they don't have an agent that they're working with, I can refer them to an agent in our office to help them. That's the backyard. That's the kitchen. This is Clover Lawn, 24670 Clover Lawn. Same kind of routine, exteriors done, landscaping's completed, interior renovation was started. And then one note on this particular property, one thing we do on all of our houses is we snake and camera the sanitary sewer line so that folks don't have an issue down the road with a collapsed sanitary sewer line. It's a big expense that homeowners don't need to have. This particular house, we actually replaced the sanitary sewer line. I think the cost was $5,000 or $6,000. And I believe we may have one more that we're doing in Oak Park, that the camera line, the camera showed that there may be some issues in the sanitary sewer line. So we check that on every house.
Madam Mayor?
Councilmember Speech.
Yes, so, first of all, thank you for doing that, because that is a huge expense with the roots and everything that can get into, plumbing. But also on that picture, I noticed that there was a garage. Did you replace the garage there as well?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
It looks like you did, but, so I just want to applaud you all for doing more than enough, for these properties, because it will raise the value here in Oak Park.
Thank you. That's the backyard. This is Beverly. Okay, so this was the fire damaged home. The house was fire damaged, interior renovations are started, mold and fire restoration is started. It's also getting a new driveway, along with the new roof, as well as new trusses and new windows. And we don't have many pictures, but you can see that on the before picture, the ceiling had collapsed, it had dropped in, all the trusses were fire damaged. There's water damage everywhere. The house is, the picture on the right is, the house has been completely stripped down, and that's it's a special sealant that the mold remediation guy uses to seal the wood before we take the next step on the renovation. So that home is just getting started. This is Coolidge, 21921 Coolidge. Interior renovation will be started shortly, and the projected budget on that one was $35,000, and that's for the unit. I believe it's for the unit on the left. Um, 22170 Condon. Exterior cleanup, interior renovation started, new driveways going in, and the roof has been installed, and that budget was $35,000. Before and after the kitchen, cabinets aren't hung yet. Before and after the bathroom, it'll have all ceramic tile. Okay, and so now we're to the commercial buildings. So we purchased two commercial buildings, 13240 and 13200, and they had many tenants in them, and so we were able to keep most of the tenants in the building. None of the tenants in the building, with the exception of one, was the owner. They were all just tenants that were paying rent to the owner, and for whatever reason, the owner was not making the tax payments. So we actually worked with the tenants, and I believe 10 out of the 11 tenants are staying and are very happy. And The renovation is gonna be about 45,000 to each building. Right now, we're doing on 13-240, we cleaned up the parking lot, we resealed the parking lot. There were cars in there, old cars that were removed. The exterior of the building is getting painted, and we're putting a roof. A roof has been ordered for the area over the office space. The roof over the warehouse was fine, but the roof over the office space needed to be replaced. So that was a before. That's the parking lot after it was resealed. The building's been painted. Same thing, the building next door has been painted. So on 13-200, kind of the same thing, clean up the parking lot, the trash, the cars removed, building is painted, resurfacing the parking lot. And Kim met with the tenants. We had a couple of tenants that weren't happy at the beginning. They're all extremely happy right now, and we're actually working with one of the tenants to sell them. We had one other commercial building, 8625 Capitol, and we're working with one of the existing tenants that wants to buy that building. So we're trying to work with them. They have a couple of businesses in Oak Park. They've been in Oak Park a long time, and they're very interested in the building. So we're trying to work a deal with them to buy the building, but we're putting some restrictions on it that are going to require them to make certain improvements to the building as part of the purchase agreement, so that they just, and I don't suspect that they're going to buy it and sit on it, but we're going to make sure that they get the C of O and that they do the necessary repairs to the building, and so there'll be some strings attached to the purchase agreement, and I'm going to work with Kim on that before we finalize it. That's it. Is there any questions?
City Manager Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jim, I just want to make a couple of comments, if I could. First of all, I wanted to clarify for anyone who may be watching or listening that, and I think I speak on behalf of the entire city when I say that we all think that a person or business that loses their property to tax foreclosure is a terrible tragedy. I think we all agree to that. And one of the things in Oakland County, and I'm speaking, I don't want to speak disparagingly about what's going on in Wayne County, but in Oakland County, our treasurer works with residents and business owners much, better, let's say, than in a lot of other areas. And so when we started this list, I believe we had 23 properties, and we winnowed it down to this smaller list because our Oakland County treasurer was working with people to stay in their homes. So I wanted to mention that. Now, I also wanted to say that I don't often say this, I try to keep a pretty calm demeanor, but I am more than impressed with the work that you have performed in our city. And I think this is with, taking a tragedy of foreclosure and making the best out of it. And I think here in Oak Park, we are setting a standard that many, many other communities, not just in Oakland County, can use to their benefit. And I wanted to thank you for that, because it's clear to me from these homes and businesses that you guys have been taken over, it's clear to me that you're doing a real service to this community, so thank you.
We appreciate that, and that's a great point you make about the Oakland County treasurer, because actually some properties were pulled after the city exercised its right of first refusal, right up until the last minute that the deeds were prepared. The Oakland County treasurer was working with folks, and a couple of folks were able to make their payments at the last minute. So we've seen that in other counties as well, and especially Oakland. I mean, they've really, with the advertising they do and the public awareness campaign, they've gone above and beyond really what is required of them, and they've done a fantastic job trying to work with folks and keep them in their houses.
He's brilliant and good-looking, too. He's my son.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. This is great news for us.
Thank you.
That explains.
Okay, Director Maroney, if you could join me at the podium for 15E, please.
Yes, at the November 9th Planning Commission meeting, we had a request from Pay Benny Pawn Shop to conduct pawn business at his location at 21380 Greenfield Road. The Planning Commission voted to recommend and the City Council approve the special land use and the final site plan with the conditions that are listed below, numbers 1 through 4.
Okay. So this is, we need a motion to approve the special land use and final site plan for Pay Benny, 21380 Greenfield, subject to the 4 conditions listed.
So moved?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Questions or discussion?
Madam Mayor, I have a question about this one.
Yes.
In the interest of full disclosure, and I think I should probably direct this question towards our city attorney, when this particular issue came through the Zoning Board of Appeals, at that point, I sat on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I don't know if that creates a conflict or not for me voting on this right now, but in the interest of full disclosure, I just wanted to put that on the record and ask the city attorney what you thought.
Thank you for the disclosure. No, I do not see a conflict with you voting as a sitting council member, which you were not at the time this matter came before the commission. And just for another note, it's my understanding that you were not present at the meeting at the Planning Commission when there was an actual vote and recommendation on this matter.
Yeah, just for clarification, it was the Zoning Board of Appeals,
Okay.
not the Planning Commission. But, right, what happened was they had to adjourn it a couple of times, and the first time I was there, and then ultimately when they voted on it, I was not there.
Okay.
So that's true.
And I do not see any conflict with you voting on this recommendation from that commission.
I have no other questions.
Thank you for checking. Discussion or questions? Is there someone from Pay Benny who can come and talk about this?
Good evening. My name is Stephen Wallace. I'm the attorney for the applicant Pay Benny, Inc. As was presented by the city planner, we are here asking for the special land use. Just as a quick history, Pay Benny's has been operating as a pawn shop under a special land use for about 4 years in a building, multi-tenant building about 500 feet to the north. My client purchased a vacant and dilapidated building, freestanding building, which used to be a dentist's office, to the south, with the hope and the idea of operating the pawn shop there. We had 4 years without incident at the earlier location, or we're still conducting business at this point because we do not have the pawn shop license for the new location. There was an updated police report that was provided as part of the Planning Commission. Again, did not reflect any incidents of any kind, criminal or otherwise, in the activity. And as was presented before us, you had somebody who was taking properties in this city and fixing them up, increasing value. My clients have, with this one property, taken a property that was an eyesore that had been vacant and abandoned really for a long period of time, has expended serious dollars to improve that building. And in fact, I'm told there was even an incident today. My client had installed security cameras. There was some incident unrelated to the operation of my client's business in the general vicinity. The police were there today asking to see the cameras and the video that was taken from the security camera. So there are pluses being provided to the community. Given the history, given the close proximity, and given that my client has gone through the full process of first the ZBA to get the variance, and then the Planning Commission, both of those boards having voted unanimously to approve, to this point, the recommendation and the conditions that the Planning Commission presented to us were not an issue at all. So we're asking you to approve their recommendation tonight.
Okay, do we have a motion? We do.
I think there's a question.
Discussion, Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes, thank you. It was brought to my attention that there was an issue with the petitioners and the signatures, and I was also understood that had been cleared up. Can you expand a little bit on that for me, please?
Yeah, under the city ordinances, we needed to present onto the ZBA at least 51% or more of the residents in the area. We work with the city to obtain the number of residents, the addresses of each one. We work with the post office to try and verify which, if any, were vacant properties. And then we went out and secured over the course of about 3 months. We had to get a couple of adjournments due to the health issues of one of the employees at Pay Benny who was trying to work with the residents in the area. We walked the community with some of the residents who live in that area. We did obtain some signatures. There were some questions raised by one of the local businesses, I believe, as to the validity. We checked them out. We found several of those, in our opinion, to be invalid objections. The city planner looked at those and determined some of those, also the objections, to be invalid, some to be valid. It was discussed, and I believe reviewed by the city attorney's office as well. And at the end, it was determined there were sufficient number of valid signatures, uncontested signatures, to satisfy the ZBA and everybody else. So it did go to the vote, but it was determined by everybody involved that the sufficient number of satisfactory signatures were obtained.
Thank you.
Councilmember Speech.
Hi. This question, actually, I have a two-part question, but part of it's going to be directed towards our city attorney. So, for clarity, Pay Benny is not operating in the building that they want the special license for at this point, correct?
Well, they're operating, but not as a pawn shop. They have
Okay.
sort of an eBay business, so there is a retail business out of this location, but
Okay.
they are conducting no pawn shop business. That's why they have continued to pay rent at the location that is the 500 feet north. And anybody who may come into the door who suggests they may need pawn business, everything is then moved down the block. It's an inconvenience, but that's what they've been doing now for about 9 months, or give or take, as we've been going through this process. We have not been conducting a pawn shop business at this location.
At that location, okay. I was gonna bring an exception to that, because I know I've driven past and admired the fact that there was a new, resurfacing of an old building, and there was a big sign that said Pay Benny on it. So that's one thing. There hasn't been a special land use license granted, and so you're not operating as a pawn shop at this time, at this location.
That is absolutely correct.
But you are operating as a pawn shop, or your client is operating as a pawn shop in another location in the city?
That is correct.
At the old location?
That's correct. And one of the conditions requested or imposed on us by the planning commission was that upon the granting, if it is granted, of special land use for this location, we would be closing down the initial location, and that is absolutely going to happen. We have no intentions of operating out of two locations, and nothing better than to stop paying rent to somebody else and be able to conduct our business out of our building.
And that was the point I was going to make for the audience's clarification. I know you all don't get all of this information, but in order for us to approve or not, for this to come before us, the Planning Commission has asked that there be some special conditions. There are 4 of them. One of them is that all outdoor lighting will properly be shielded so it does not create a nuisance to traffic or the nearby residential areas. If conditions change and a dumpster becomes necessary, the dumpster will need to be screened according to the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Any future rooftop or ground level equipment must be screened as required by the zoning ordinance. And 4, termination of the pawn shop functions at their current location, which is 21700 Greenfield. Once all the necessary approvals for the new location are completed, that they terminate everything. So we won't have 2 pawn shops operating from Pay Benny in the city of Oak Park, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And, City Attorney, I just want to make sure that, is there anything necessary for me to say regarding, anything else?
No, I do not think so. I think everything has been fully covered. As Mayor Pro Tem noted, there were some initial objections at the underlying zoning Board of Appeals meeting and the Planning Commission. Those have all been properly recorded and made a part of the record of those proceedings. And at this time, it is simply the recommendation of the Planning Commission before this body.
Great, thank you.
Further questions or discussion? Are you ready for a vote? Yes. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Welcome. Please, as mentioned in the Planning Commission, invite the neighbors in, try and make peace, try and make everyone happy so that the neighborhood can relax and realize that it's going to be okay. All right, let's see.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I'd like to ask Director Maroney to go over 15F as well.
Also, at the November 9th meeting of the Planning Commission, we conducted another public hearing for a special land use request from Thai-Fi Restaurant located 8505 9 Mile Road to allow them to serve alcoholic liquors. They are currently in one portion of a strip mall that has 4 sites, and she's planning to expand her building so that she can allow for not only carry-out, but also dining in at her restaurant.
She's expanding into 2 or 3?
3 spaces.
3 spaces, 3
She's
of the 4.
taken 3 out of the 4, yes. The Planning Commission recommends that you approve the special land use with the conditions that are listed below, numbers 1 through 3.
Okay. A motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission for approval of the special land use.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion or questions? Your background is, oh, can we actually hear from the owner?
Yep.
Welcome, hi.
Hi.
Your background is hotels or restaurants?
My major is in nutrition and food science, emphasizing food service management, and I've been in restaurant service for more than 30 years. And I also work in hotel and own my own restaurant before, and also the previous restaurant I own has liquor too.
Wonderful. I think when I was there were people from all around. You get people coming from more than just Oak Park.
Yeah, a lot from Ferndale, Detroit, and Huntington Wood, pretty much everywhere, because we're just in between the line there.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried it, you must check out this restaurant. If you don't like sushi, what else can you get?
I'm planning to bring dim sum into our restaurant and fresh juice drink, tropical drinks.
There was a Sidewalk Cafe mentioned. Can you tell us a little about your plan for that?
What do you mean sidewalk cafe?
The outdoor dining.
Outdoor, the outdoor planning, I'm thinking about put little on the side of the Republic there.
Mm-hmm.
But that one probably my next project.
Okay, coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Yeah, I would say, because right now I'm budgeting how to concentrate on one side first, and then after I'm done with the dining in, then I probably work on the other side of the on the Republic and on the side of the Republic there, the side.
So how did you decide to stay in Huntington, in Oak Park, when you were expanding, instead of moving somewhere else, say?
Oh, it's because I got the clientele in here already. It's a good start for me. I already have order support from my carry-out service, and so I don't have to worry about open a new place, in a new place, in a new, waiting for a new customer come to try. There's a risk. Right now, I have no risk.
We're thrilled that you decided to stay.
Yeah, that's
This
almost
is-
like, I love this city. It's, people are so open. They are very open people, willing to try everything, and they know a lot of stuff already. In this city, the people going out eat a lot. It's a good food city. It is. I've been working in Detroit area, the east side, like nearby St. Clair Shore, and Grosse Pointe area. Those are the people willing to dine in out, eat out a lot. Sterling Heights is a bad location. I'm sorry, yeah. Sterling Heights a bad location, and West Side is a very hard location to work with the clients. Those customers are high demand. Yeah,
I can't imagine you not satisfying the highest demand, because
very
we have,
high demand. They demand a lot, and once they find, they never give you a break. If they find something they don't like, they just keep bugging on it and until you satisfy them.
we have not had any problem, and you've impressed a very particular sushi-loving member of my family.
Yeah.
And if you can please him, you can please anybody, so.
Yeah, my goal is trying to bring some, like a healthy food to change the old Chinese image about egg foo young or some greasy food. I totally don't even want to sell it anymore. That's it.
So delicious and healthy.
Yes. That's
We're
my goal.
thrilled. Do you have a question? Oh, council member speech.
Yes, I am so excited
Thank
that you are expanding. I remember when you all opened, and I remember, I actually met you twice when I was campaigning also. But all of this vision that she had it a long time ago. She said, maybe this, maybe that. So I'm excited to see that it's coming to fruition.
I was so surprised the next door moved out and
Yeah.
I got the chance to open.
So this is awesome because I know the strip mall, so I'm glad to see some more, it's not empty space anymore. It's going to be possibly
Right,
open. The one thing I did want to let people know of, they don't know what type of food that you serve. Thai Phi, it's sushi, but there's all types of noodles and some Japanese dishes, some Thailand, some from, Chinese dishes. So it's a fusion. So
Right.
it's something ethnic for our community that brings other people from everywhere, which is someone referred me from Farmington Hills to come to my city for sushi.
Thank you, yeah.
So we're certainly glad that you're thinking about expanding and staying in Oak Park.
Thank you.
And speaking of particular, council member speech, lived in Japan for a number of years and knows her sushi too.
Right.
So thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. We're ready for a vote. Roll call, please.
Council member speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Council member Radner.
Yes.
Council member Rich.
This passes. Welcome to Oak Park.
Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for the evening. Thank you.
Next, we have call to the audience. Give us your name and address. We limit your time to 3 minutes.
Steve Gold, 15,000 Leslie Street. I'm not real fond of the tendency we've seen in the retail business to start advertising the holiday season before Thanksgiving, before Halloween's even over. But I don't know who's responsible, but driving around the city at night now, whoever did that lighting, it is so wonderful seeing the the trees all wrapped and the holiday lights. And it really, really just fills one with joy seeing it. So I'm not sure who was responsible for it, but whoever it was, thank you.
Well, let's have a hand for our staff. Just spirits lifted in the darkest time of the year to have some lights out, cheerful lights. It's kind of nice. Kim Maroney was the project lead, according to our city manager, who also had a hand in this. Hi, welcome. Give us your name and address.
My name is Ken Nanda. I had several objections about the approval of the pawn shop. And my understanding was that there will be another reading for the pawn shop approval. But if it's already approved, it's a moot point for me to talk about, and I will not talk. But
There was a public hearing. The Planning Commission held.
Right. And this is the final approval at this time. Right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate your interest.
Thank you.
And we hope we will make you happy as time goes on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
to the mayor and to the council. My name is Germando Jordan, and our address is 23880 Scotia. I am here with my lovely wife, Catherine. Want to stand? And I am here to introduce to you the Master's Bible Chapel. We are the purchasers of the former Faith United Methodist Church. We have been in the community since January of this year, and so far we are excited to be here. Our intent is not to just be a church in the city. Our intent is to be a church that is part of this community. We have already begun knocking on the doors in the city to introduce ourselves, and we're finding that the people in Oak Park are receptive. They are very cordial and nice people, and so we are really enjoying that. As part of our mission to the church, we are doing our outreach, and one of the things I wanted to do was to ask two questions. One is, who do I contact to find out about community associations or neighborhood associations? And two, as part of our outreach, and again, I said we are knocking on doors. You have outside your chamber a large map of the city. Who would I talk to get a copy of that?
We will set you up. And one more thing is, what time, have you started services yet?
Yes.
When are services on Sunday?
Our Sunday school starts at 9:30, and our morning worship service begins at 10:30. And we also do a weekly Bible study at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, where that's really our question and answer, as well as studying the Bible together. Oh, by the way, I was told to mention that in January, we're going to start a community Bible study for ladies. It will be on the second and fourth Saturday of the month, starting January, the second Saturday in January. And it'll be at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning.
We are delighted to have you in the city of Oak Park, and our city manager will talk to you about the map and the neighborhood associations.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I could just refer you to our Officer Benson back here, he can
Okay.
handle
And what
your
about the
other,
map?
and the map we'll have given to you. so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Council member Speech.
Yes, I'd like to welcome you to the community as well.
Yes.
In addition to the two things that the city manager is going to hook you up with Officer Benson, I'd like to let you know that we have commissions here in the city. One of them is the Ethnic Advisory Commission. And just encourage you to look at any of the back of any of the calendars or online, and it'll show you a list of the commissions that maybe some of your members may be interested in, or even you yourself to come in and be a part of. You don't have to be on the commission to be a part of the commission. And that's another way to reach out to the community and impact the community as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I fully intend to do that.
And can we have your card so we can reach you? Do you have anything with
You
your?
know what? I just got some new cards this week, so I'll be happy to give them to you.
Thank you. Thank you, and both of you welcome. We're delighted to have you.
Oh, also, I don't want to get in trouble. Two of the members of our church, which happen to be my mother, she's here also. All right, thank you so much.
We're so glad you came. Thank you. Anyone else? Quiet group. Oh, yes.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Jacks. I'm actually not a resident of Oak Park, but I am a housing counselor with Community Housing Network. And I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with Community Housing Network for the work in Jefferson Oaks. But I'm actually here tonight to talk about something else. As a MSHDA certified housing counselor, we assist homeowners throughout Oakland and Macomb County at CHN to get into programs to save their house. And there's a program that has existed for the last 5 years called Step Forward Michigan that is actually ending. As of December 31st, there are no longer going to be accepting applications. If you're not familiar with that program, oh, you're in it? Okay, well, awesome. We actually are having a workshop in partnership with, or a homeowner assistance clinic rather, in partnership with Oakland County Treasurer Office and the Oakland Livingston Human Service Agency on December 4th at the New Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Pontiac. And it's a free assistance clinic from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And we're just going to try to help as many people as we can to get assistance with their back taxes, or if they're facing mortgage or condo association issues. We're just going to help as many people as we can, so we're just trying to get the word out to the residents of Oak Park. If anyone is interested, I have information. If you would like to get some or contact us, we can provide that. So
You will leave us some to put in the library and make available?
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Welcome and thank you for coming.
All right, thank you.
If there are no further audience comments, we are going to call to the council. Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out. It's always a pleasure to see your faces here being engaged in our city council and getting various information. I also want to welcome our 2 new council members to your first official city council meeting. I also want to welcome the new businesses, the Pay Ben Pawn Shop that is now a resident instead of a renter in Oak Park, and to the Thai restaurant for expanding in Oak Park. And thank you for the wonderful things you said about the city. Please be safe, dress accordingly. It's 71 degrees earlier today, but as my mom would say, this is pneumonia weather. So please wrap up and don't be fooled. You live in Michigan. Thank you. Have a good night.
That's great. Councilmember Radner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Burns, for those kind words and that nice warm welcome. It's been my first week on the job here, and something that I'd like to say to all the residents who are watching this of the city of Oak Park is that it's really been a very special week for me. As some of you may know, I spent my entire life, other than a few years in college, living in Oak Park. My wife also spent her entire life in Oak Park, with the exception of a couple years of school. And working together with the elected officials and the wonderful people of Oak Park really has been wonderful. It's been special. It's been a privilege. And I look forward to at least 4 more years of this. It's a wonderful city. It's a very diverse city. It's a city where different groups and different peoples come together. We heard today from a Thai restaurant owner, and we welcome you to the city. We heard from an African-American pastor. We have a couple of, obviously the city council is about as diverse as the city is, and it really is special to be a part of this. So thank you all, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Well said. Councilmember Speech.
Yes, I just first want to thank everyone that came out tonight. We had a pretty large audience compared to most evenings, and just want to encourage as many people as possible to go online and complete the master plan survey. I think that it was mentioned we only have 100+ people that have completed it, but there are 30,000+ members in the Oak Park community. So if you can't access it online, there's other ways for you to certainly get the master plan survey completed, but we really need to hear from you. This is something that we had not done in years. I forgot the date, but it was in the 90s, the last time I believe that it was done. So this is something we certainly need to do and gather together as a community to do, and share the information with your neighbors and friends. Also, as some of you may know, I am a part of the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments Transportation Committee, and one of the updates is there's a traffic safety plan that they're doing, because they realize that there is also a need to update infrastructure and everything, and just along with the roads plan, we're doing a traffic safety plan. There's a the object of that is to complete a vision, update regional policies, make sure there's an emphasis on the areas that need traffic safety more than others, and strategize on performance measures and goals. Now, in order to complete the traffic plan, you can also go online to semcog.com, semcog.org, 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 and complete the traffic safety plan. So both of those plans are very important. I want to encourage you all to have your voices heard in those areas. And last but not least, welcome to the new community members. Welcome to our new council members. I'm excited to be serving these next 4 years with you. Actually, I only served 2, but you know what I mean. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Rich.
Everybody have a good night. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's a real pleasure to be here. We've got great staff here in the city and good council and a great electorate. Have a good night.
Thank you. I'm always the wordy one. We have a new group forming in Oak Park. It's the Oak Park Historical Society, and they had a first meeting on Sunday afternoon. We had Leslie Ritchie was selected as the chair, and Chuck Olslund will be secretary treasurer. Director Brandon Bowman, our library director, who is very interested in municipal history, is the city liaison, which is fabulous. He already started us out with a wonderful idea of calling Wayne State University School of Library Science and asking for the archives department, because graduating seniors need internships projects. And when I was calling a lot of you before the election, what I discovered was there's some fascinating people out there with some amazing stories. Harriet Booth came in with a gavel that her grandfather used when he was the first village president of the village of Oak Park. And it was the farmers got together because the wells got dry to bond for water. And that's how the village was started. Another fascinating story was that she lives in East Oak Park, and there are 2 streets that are on highland and 1 street that's on lowland. The lower running street used to be a creek that they went swimming in. Just some fascinating stuff out there. What we're looking for is people who are present residents or past residents of Oak Park who have stories of the early days, and we would love this intern to do a video or audio recording of you just reminiscing about what things were like in Oak Park. So if you have lived in Oak Park for a long time and would agree to talking to someone, or someone who would be interested in doing that, we'd like to hear from you. The next meeting is in January 17th. It's a Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I'd like to thank Global Realty for turning the worst house on the block into the best house on the block. A safety tip that our public safety liaison always gives us is things are real dark now. Keep your house lights on. He kind of pointed out some houses near a block club meeting. And the ones without lights on, you couldn't even see the front door. And the ones with lights on were obviously well lit. And he said, if you were gonna break into a house, which one would you pick? So that's when I went home and turned my house lights on, and I would suggest you do the same. We do have a leaf schedule, curbside leaf removal schedule that was in your Oak Park branch. Please refer to it because there's only 1 or 2 days left, depending on your area, 1 or 2 days left to get the leaves picked up from your street. Again, Wednesday at 5 o'clock, come to the meeting with the 5-year master plan, or do it online or pick up a hard copy after the meeting tonight. Great Lakes Landscaping just did some amazing things, talk about businesses that are doing great things in Oak Park. if you drive down Capitol, it used to just be an industrial building because it's in an industrial area. So they totally redid the front. There are waterfall features, there are fire pit features, there's like a living room, dining room set up, there's a kitchen area, an outdoor kitchen area set up. Even if you don't want to do that to your house, you have to stop by and see what's the latest. And they're having an open house on Friday from 9 to 5, and anything that gives me free food I go to, and I recommend you do the same. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.